Good morning, Pastor Ron Jetter, Immanuel Lutheran Church, for Thursday, the 24th of September. I'm recording it a day early, and I'll post it out there today. Wednesday is Bible study day, so there's not a separate message. So this will be Thursday's message. I'll be on the road. We're traveling toward California, so then Friday, my message will either come from somewhere in Northern California or Sacramento, which I guess is also Northern California, going down to see our daughter. And then Saturday's message will also be there. My Sunday sermon will be online as well, and Pastor Gary Rhodey will lead the service. So Joan will coordinate it, and I will preach, and Gary will lead. Well, nice cooperative effort. It takes a team to get us through all of this. Anyway, we have finished up 46 chapters of Genesis. Joseph has greeted his father, and he has told his father, now I must present you to Pharaoh, and that he will grant you land for all your flocks. We know that there was 70 people in the family, with Jacob/Israel being the patriarch of the clan. They are given places to settle. Now there's still a famine in the land, so chapter 47 deals with Joseph's management of the famine. Joseph went to Pharaoh and told him, my father and my brothers with their flocks and herds and all that they possess have come from the land of Canaan and are now in the land of Goshen. From among his brothers he took 5 men and presented them to Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to his brothers, what is your occupation? They said to Pharaoh, your servants are shepherds as our ancestors were. We have come to reside as aliens in the land, for there's no pasture for your servants' flocks, because the famine is severe in the land of Canaan. We ask you, let your servants settle in the land of Goshen. Pharaoh said to Joseph, your father and your brothers have come to you. The land of Egypt is before you. Settle your father and your brothers in the best part of the land. Let them live in the land of Goshen. If you know that there are capable men among them, put them in charge of my livestock. So, now Joseph's family are becoming basically public servants, civil servants in Pharaoh's government there. Joseph brought his father Jacob, presented him before Pharaoh. Jacob blessed Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to Jacob, how many are the years of your life? Jacob said to Pharaoh, the years of my earthly sojourn are 130. Few and hard have been the years of my life. They do not compare with the years of the life of my ancestors during their long sojourn. Then Jacob blessed Pharaoh and went out from the presence of Pharaoh. Joseph settled his father and his brothers and granted them a holding in the land of Egypt, the best part of the land of Ramses, as Pharaoh had instructed. Verse 13. Now it's going to get interesting. We're going to see Joseph's manipulation of things, all perfectly according to Pharaoh's will and for Pharaoh's benefit. There was no food in the land because the famine was severe. The land of Egypt, the land of Canaan, languished because of the famine. Joseph collected all the money to be found in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan in exchange for the grain that they bought. And Joseph brought the money to Pharaoh's house. When the money from the land of Egypt and the land of Canaan was spent, all the Egyptians came to Joseph and said, give us food. Why should we die before your eyes? For our money's gone. So now they have no more money to buy grain that Joseph has stored up for these years of famine. But the famine's not over. Joseph answered, give me your livestock. I will give you food in exchange for your livestock if your money's gone. So they brought their livestock to Joseph. Joseph gave them food in exchange for the horses, the flocks, the herds, and the donkeys. That year he supplied them with food in exchange for it. When the year was ended, they came to him the following year and said, we cannot hide from my lord that our money is spent. The herds and the cattle are my lord's. There's nothing left but our bodies and our land. Shall we die before your eyes? Both we and our land? Buy us and our land in exchange for food. We, with our land, will become slaves to Pharaoh. Just give us seed so that we may live and not die, that the land may not become desolate. So Joseph bought all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh. All the Egyptians sold their fields because the famine was severe upon them. The land became Pharaoh's. The people he made slaves from one end of Egypt to the other. So the Egyptians themselves are now enslaved to Pharaoh. Only the land of the priests he did not buy, for the priests had a fixed allowance from Pharaoh and lived on that allowance that Pharaoh gave them. Therefore, they did not need to sell their land. Joseph said, "This day I have bought you and your land for Pharaoh. Here is seed to sow your land. Of the harvest you shall give 1/5 to Pharaoh, and 4/5 shall be your own, as seed for the field and as food for yourselves, for your households and your little ones." They said, "You have saved our lives. May it please my Lord, we will be slaves to Pharaoh." So the lives of the people didn't really change. They continued to work the land. They continued to be farmers and livestock owners and managers, where they did have the ability to irrigate because of the Nile and the canals. Even back then, there was at least some ability to grow crops and to feed the livestock. Even during the famine, even though they could not grow enough grain to feed everything, at least they had some because of the supplement of grain that Joseph had stored up. But Joseph now pretty much has taken over ownership of virtually everything. Pharaoh is now the owner, the king, the dictator, the god, everything. And Joseph is the one who has made it happen for Pharaoh. But Jacob's children are apparently still free people in the land of Goshen, in the best land. They're the free ones. The Egyptians are the slaves. It's a detail that we forget in this story, that Joseph and his father and all of the cousins and everything and in-laws were enjoying the fat of the land, irrigated land. They had crops, they had flocks, more children, they're growing in numbers. New generations are born to the people and to the flocks, and they are enjoying abundance even during famine. They're not being bought out and enslaved. But the Egyptians all around them are. And Joseph, the Hebrew that Pharaoh has put in charge, is the one who has made it happen. For Pharaoh, yes. Verse 27. Thus Israel settled in the land of Egypt, the region of Goshen. They gained possession in it, and were fruitful and multiplied exceedingly. Jacob lived in the land of Egypt 17 years, so the days of Jacob, the years of his life, were 147 years. When the time of Israel's death drew near, he called his son Joseph and said to him, "If I have found favor, will you put your hand under my thigh and promise to deal loyally and truly with me. Do not bury me in Egypt. When I lie down with my ancestors, carry me out of Egypt, bury me in their burial place." He answered, "I will do as you have said." And he said, "Swear to me." And Joseph swore to him. Then Israel bowed himself on the head of his bed. So Jacob/Israel has now passed the era of the patriarch. Is just about gone, except for in chapter 28, then we get these brief notes that I'll talk about in the Friday message. The final blessing. He can't die until he's blessed all of his sons. So, there it is. What goes into a complete life? And if you had 147 years, what more would you do? Wow, that's more than, that's double what an average life is. I don't know what the average lifespan is now, 79, 83, something like that. So if you had 2 lifetimes, well, if you were healthy, isn't that how it always is? If you're healthy, your life is prosperous, it's meaningful, you have meaningful relationships, your loved ones are around you. You may think 147 years tending to sheep and goats and camels and donkeys and plowing the land would be kind of, I don't know, more and more the same old thing year after year after year. But again, they didn't judge their days by how much excitement was in it. We tend to judge our quality of life by how much we can dump into a life. We go on vacation and we're as guilty as anybody. We go on a vacation and as one English friend said, you Americans and your tick-off lists, you've got to see these things. You've got to see 47 things in 2 weeks. And then your European trip or your London trip or whatever is complete. And it's true. We do look forward to California this week. It'll be a relaxing trip, but the one thing I need to do other than greet our daughter and take some wedding presents to her, the one thing is to visit my aunt, my mom's next youngest sister, who says that my mother was her best friend. And these two, out of all the kids in the Schultz clan, Mary and Marg were the closest ones. And this will probably be my last time of seeing my Aunt Marg. So to be able to visit my cousin Connie, to sit outside with our masks on at Connie's house in Northern California, that's on my list. That's one of the things I have to do. And the story of Joseph at the end of Jacob's life reminds me that there are things we need to pay attention to. And yes, we've got to drain the irrigation pipes, get all the water out before the freeze comes, because that happens. Got to clear the garden, and you got to do a number of things. Got to start raking up leaves. But the people stuff has to come first. So for the next week and a half, it's people stuff.